He was once the thunder, the god of storms, protector of worlds. Now he was only an echo, a shadow of what he used to be, a man with a broken arm and a heavier heart. Long ago, in battle against the darkness, Thor lost more than just his worth. In a war against Malekith and his army of dark elves, the shadows struck back. A blade of black magic cut through the air and took his left arm. Since that day, he has worn metal, forged from Uru in the forges of Asgard, heavier than guilt, lighter than memory. Every time it moves, it reminds him, even gods can bleed. After the events of Original Sin, everything changed. Nick Fury leaned close to Thor's ear and whispered 3 words, words no mortal would ever know. And in that moment, Thor Odinson became unworthy. Mjolnir fell, and no matter how many times he tried, the hammer no longer answered him. The world moved on. A new Thor, Jane Foster, lifted Mjolnir, a woman who was mortal, dying, and yet more worthy than the god of thunder himself. Every strike of the hammer gave her power and took her life away, and Odinson disappeared. Months passed. Thor wandered through ruined lands, through empty skies and the ashes of battles. He lost his weapon. He lost his purpose. He lost the right to call himself a god. Until one day he heard a rumor. Somewhere at the edge of the cosmos, another hammer had fallen. Not his Mjolnir, but one from another world, from the ultimate universe. This hammer had crossed realities, born in a universe that no longer existed, the ultimate Mjolnir. Unlike the one forged for Odin's son, this one was built as a weapon of war, pure science wrapped in godhood. It didn't ask for worthiness, it demanded strength, a relic from a dead world waiting for a god desperate enough to claim it. Something inside Thor stirred again. Maybe this was his chance to take back what he had lost. So he began his journey, chasing the lightning that never fades. The trail led him to a world ravaged by war. And there, instead of the hammer, Thor found chains. Before he could react, the Collector appeared, a being who gathered all things rare, and gods were his greatest treasures. Thor was captured, tortured, humiliated. The Collector promised him freedom in exchange for the hammer. Thor refused. He would rather die unworthy than live as someone's possession.
Fun fact, once Thor was a frog. In Thor number 364, Loki turned him into a frog, and the frog Thor fought an army of rats in Central Park. But even then, he remained worthy. He lifted a miniature Mjolnir and became Frog Thor, also known as Throg, the Frog of Thunder.
Days passed, until finally someone who still believed in him arrived. Beta Ray Bill, a friend, a warrior, one of the few who had also wielded Mjolnir's power. He was proof that worthiness wasn't bound to blood. Once he fought Thor himself, and won. Mjolnir had chosen him, even for a moment, and instead of pride, he felt only fear. Odin forged him another hammer, Stormbreaker. Bill never sought glory, only purpose. That's why he came for Thor now, not to save him, but to remind him who he used to be. Bill freed Thor. Together they tore through the Collector's armies. The storm returned, not from the hammer, but from his heart. Thor was weaker than ever, but he fought with a strength that cannot be killed. They escaped. But Odinson wouldn't leave without the hammer. He followed its echo, to the place where the fire of stars had burned the earth, and there, in the crater, the other hammer waited. But he wasn't alone. Thanos' Black Order was already there. The hammer had become bait, and now everyone wanted to claim it. War erupted. Thor fought like the god he once was. No weapon, no magic, only fury, the kind even death remembers. And then he saw it. The hammer, shining, pulsing, waiting. He reached out his hand, and the whisper returned. Nick Fury's words. Gorr was right. It wasn't a curse. It wasn't magic. It was the truth. Gorr, the god butcher, once said that gods bring no salvation, only pain. And deep down, Thor believed him. That belief, that doubt, was what took his worth away. Not spells, not Mjolnir, himself. Thor stopped. His hand hovered over the hammer. Lightning froze. He could lift it. He could feel its power. He could. But for the first time, he understood he didn't have to. He didn't need the hammer to be himself. He didn't need power to be worthy. He turned away and walked in silence. In the distance, thunder rumbled once more, because thunder always returns to those who stop chasing it. But somewhere else, in the shadow of the stars, another god was planning his own end, Thanos. Among corpses and ash, he met Hela, the goddess of death. Cast out of her own realm, stripped of her throne, she sought a way to reclaim her kingdom. Hell and Thanos offered her that chance. Many believed death was only his obsession, but this time he truly spoke to her. Two beings who knew only one emotion, destruction, joined their forces. Because when gods lose faith, death always finds a way to remind them. Thor never reclaimed Mjolnir, but he found something greater, himself. Because worthiness doesn't come from power. It comes from the will to rise, even when you have nothing left. If you want to hear more stories like this, hit subscribe, because in the world of gods and men, every story has its thunder,